By now, you've probably heard of the case of the poor woman, or at least we're expected to believe, that was not able to have an abortion in Texas because of the strict abortion laws there. And now she has to go somewhere else in order to take care of that inconvenience. Now, I really want to try to be as kind and charitable as I possibly can through all of this. But at the front of this, I really just got to tell you guys something. Not only that I believe abortion is murder, but also if you can have an abortion in another state and instead you choose to sue the state of Texas in order to earn the right to have an abortion in Texas when you can just go to another state, I can't help but believe that you desire to put yourself and your baby in the spotlight, and then you make it fair game for all of us to talk about it. Now, again, I'm going to talk about this as charitably as possible and as much as a Christian as I possibly can, which is a large task because there's a responsibility there. But I also want to do so in such a way that we understand what we're talking about here, because the reality of abortion has lost us by and large because we have fallen for the my body, my choice rhetoric that we hear so often in the culture. So especially in a case like this, I think it's important for us to investigate that claim. Like, does my body, my choice, does the clump of cells thing hold up in light of what we're seeing in Texas? The one thing we do know is that the left is losing their mind. Even people on the right, like Ann Coulter, are saying we've gone from protecting babies to absolutely being moral monsters against mothers. Now, I can't help but believe that the people who are the real moral monsters are the ones who are charging women to kill their babies for them. Those are the real moral monsters, not conservatives who actually care about babies. And it is also the case here where this woman is seeking a medical exception because of what's going on with her in order to get this abortion, which, by the way, is possible in the state of Texas. The only way that you can have an abortion is with a medical exception. Now, she originally got that granted to her, and then it was denied by the Supreme Court there in Texas. So here's the real question at the end of the day. Does she qualify for a medical exception? And is the state of Texas being draconian in their abortion laws? Before you answer that, let's dig into this simple, important detail of this pregnancy. So the woman in question is Kate Cox, and Kate Cox is probably somewhere in the realm of 20 weeks pregnant now, so clearly into her second trimester. Kate wants to abort her baby because she figured out that that her baby has trisomy 18, which is a genetic disorder that will inevitably leave her baby delivered with not only a genetic defect, but severely handicapped, probably with club hands, club feet, lowered ears, inability to speak, and all sorts of impairments. It's a truly awful thing to have trisomy 18. Now, chances are, too, that Kate's baby will be delivered and could be delivered with a high degree of success. So some are arguing right now because she has trisomy 18, the baby's going to be dead anyway. So what does it matter if she aborts it now or not? And then it saves Kate the trouble of seeing her baby experience this difficulty. Well, the truth is that a baby with trisomy 18 not only can survive delivery, but can also grow to become an adult. Now, I think the longest person who has ever survived with trisomy 18 was about 20 years or so. So obviously the longevity of that individual is not going to be very long, and their quality of life will be diminished because of their disability. But the last time I checked, you don't get to murder somebody just simply because they're disabled. Now, again, I'm arguing from the position that a baby in the womb and a baby from conception is a baby and not a fetus or a clump of cells, because we don't say clump of cells on board, fetus on board, we say baby on board. And by the way, this is implicit for Kate. So just to kind of buttress this argument, Kate is not arguing that this is a clump of cells. She knows it's a baby in her womb. This is not even a question here. The question is whether or not this is something that is severely detrimental to the mother and severely detrimental to the baby in such a fashion that you should murder the baby. So that's the real question. Should we save Kate the trouble and the heartache of watching her child have to go through this And will Kate be somehow impaired in the future with her fertility if this pregnancy is allowed to go on? Now, that's exactly what Kate's lawyers argued. And that's exactly why the state of Texas denied her argument in the end, because they found with their medical experts that actually Kate is not in trouble at all for her future fertility, and her life is not in jeopardy because she has a baby with trisomy 18. I think it's fair to say this. I think that that was not only a frivolous lawsuit, but I think the lawsuit is really more about this. Do we save the mother the pain and the heartache of having a disabled baby or having to watch their child suffer and die? And the answer to that is no, you don't save them that heartache. Who has the right to do that? Every single child that comes into this world will die eventually. Now, hopefully by God's grace, your child will outlive you and you will not see them die. But death is guaranteed to us all, and a pain-free life is not guaranteed to any one of us. Why should Kate have the right to alleviate herself of the pain of having to deal with death when every single other person on the planet has to confront death in whatever state it comes? Now, you may say to yourself, well, that baby's going to die anyway, Reed. What does it matter? Isn't this a bit of a semantic difference? Well, no, it's not. In fact, because a baby is a human being and deserves dignity, it has the right to come into this world and potentially survive. And it has the right not to have its legs ripped off in the womb and then disposed as garbage. It has the right to a funeral and a burial. And it's really the only humanitarian way to truly care for this child and to truly care for the mother. And there's one other thing to say about caring for the mother here. If you truly care about the mother, you will understand that abortion is not a victimless crime, not only for the baby, but also for the mother. Abortion and post-abortive care is necessary because abortion is a deeply traumatic thing to do. If you really truly understand this, as you should, you will understand that what Kate is doing is she is murdering her child because her child is going to be disabled. Now, I don't know if that will register, if Kate will have the appropriate mens rea to truly understand that. But just think if she does. She will be haunted day after day with the reality that she simply killed her baby because she didn't want a disabled child. Now, again, I don't know if that's going to register to her conscience, but this is where the law steps in. And this is where progressive Christians have to be quiet. They like to say, you cannot legislate righteousness. And true enough, you can't. But it depends on what you mean, too. Because you can legislate morality. You can put laws into place that protect disabled children, even from people who don't have the appropriate mens rea to understand what they're doing, but that would hurt a child just simply because it's disabled. At the end of the day, the reality is just simply this. The Texas law worked. And that's why we as conservatives should celebrate. We shouldn't fall for the emotional blackmail of those like Ann Coulter who want to try to shame conservatives for now not allowing this mother to have an abortion. The truth is that Texas heard this case. They ruled correctly. This woman will not be in any way affected long-term by delivering this baby in terms of her fertility. And this baby does have a chance of surviving, so it has the right to live. It has the right to be delivered and to at least fight for whatever breath that it can take until the moment that we have to say goodbye to it. And I truly say we. Because again, this is a win for the conservative movement and a win for Texas, because whenever we as a society value human life, it is a good thing for all of us, because it is undeniably and inarguably a bad thing for us to devalue human life. The more we do that, the more our society goes down the toilet. And again, I go back to this idea that this is a win, and this is why we should be celebrating right now. We shouldn't have to necessarily be on the defensive on this. This is an opportunity for us as conservatives to realize that the culture war matters, and when we fight them, babies are saved. And especially the most innocent and the most vulnerable among us, which I believe there's somebody that said one time, Gandhi perhaps, that you can judge a society by how it treats its most vulnerable. It's interesting to me that the left is always talking about humanitarianism and social justice, but then they want to They want to eliminate life in the womb, which is clearly the people that they should be concerned about if you really care about humanitarianism. At the end of the day, this is a win. It's a culture win, and it's something we should rejoice in. It should be a reminder to all of us that no, you can't legislate righteousness, but you can legislate morality, and you can create a world that is better for all of our kids to live in, past, present, and future. And because this is the portion of the show called Bible Study with Democrats, I'll just say this. Progressives love to twist and contort Scripture in order to try to prove their priors. I'll just say this. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. He is the bread of life. If we actually care about Scripture and we really care about Jesus, then it's time we started standing up for life. It will never cease to amaze me that progressive Christians want to stand up for the welfare system and they want to stand up for immigration, but they will say nothing about transgenderism and the butchering of children, and they will say nothing about the butchering of babies in the womb. And by the way, in case you haven't noticed, many of them are being butchered to the tune of about 800,000 to 1 million each and every year. But because Texas is doing what they're doing, there's good news. In the year 2020, there were around 50,000 babies that were aborted in the state of Texas. Do you know how many have been aborted in 2023 post-Roe? 34. Now, it's not zero, but it's certainly better than it was. And it's a reminder to all of us that we cannot afford to sit on the sidelines in the culture war, especially when life depends upon it. And if you take a stand, and if you do what is right, regardless of how many attacks people will throw against you for being a Christian nationalist or trying to confuse your Christianity with your politics, at the end of the day, if the fruit of your labor speaks for itself, then let God do the sorting in the end, and you take a stand. That's all the time we have for today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and go with God.
So you just got done watching a small excerpt of a much larger episode. You can find the link to that full episode down below in the description of this video. So you definitely want to check that out, because if you like that clip, you'll like the much larger episode. And while you're at it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and click that little bell to be notified when great new episodes of Indie Thinker come your way. Thanks for watching.